Hello and welcome to Artisphere presented by TD Bank, the virtual experience. This particular panel discussion is sponsored by Pinnacle Bank. Thank you for joining the Gallerists panel discussion. Joining me are, and I'll start as I see you on my screen at least, there is Michael Maines, who is, correct me if I'm wrong, Director of Blue Spiral Gallery. There is Ann Park. This is the first time that I am seeing Ann Park's face, actually, but I believe she has just moved back to New York City. She has worked for David Zwirner and most recently Fergus McCaffrey?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So, and then moving right along, Teresa Roche, Greenville's finest. She is the owner of Art and Light Gallery. And then last but not least, Yu Kai Lin. Yu Kai is owner of the Kai Lin Gallery in Atlanta. I guess I should announce myself too. My name is Robin Aiken, and I'm the Visual Arts Programs Manager for the Artisphere Festival in Greenville, South Carolina. I've been with them for, this would have been my fourth festival, but 2020 has been the scourge of us all. So I'm going to open it up to you guys. Michael, if you want to tell us a little bit about your background, anything you'd like us to know about yourself, that would be great.
Well, I'm a graduate of the Columbus College of Art and Design in Columbus, Ohio, and previously, before coming to Asheville, I worked in several museums in Ohio. I worked for the Columbus Museum of Art, the Akron Art Museum, and the Cleveland Museum of Art in their prep department and with curatorial departments. And then I moved down to Asheville and started working at Blue Spiral, and I've been here for about 10 years now. I became the director in 2017. I live here in Asheville. I have 2 dogs, a beautiful wife, and I just had a baby boy in February. Well, my wife did.
Congratulations! That's awesome.
Thank you. Thanks.
Anne, tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. I am a graduate of the University of Richmond in Virginia, where I studied art history and international studies. And I actually began my career in finance and transitioned to working in an art gallery. My first art gallery job was with David Zwirner. And I was part of the sales team as an assistant and just learned the ropes. They call it getting your MBA in art dealing. And after 3 years with David Zwirner, I joined the sales team with Fergus McCaffrey. And I was with him for 2 years until this past March when the pandemic hit, and New York galleries, and we can talk about it down the road, but they pretty much just started consolidating their staff, and I have been independently consulting as an art advisor since March.
Gotcha. Teresa, I would actually love to hear about your background. I know you as the owner of Art and Light, but I actually don't know, where did you come from? What have you been doing? What were you doing before that?
Oh, Robin, thanks so much. I actually don't want to say when I graduated from college because I don't want y'all to know what year that was. I was a dance arts major and psychology minor, but I actually worked for about 26 years in the corporate world and was in marketing and event management. My last job before I retired to do the gallery was with ScanSource, and I was in event management with ScanSource for 10 years. And then in the gallery, and now have been open for 14 years. It's been a very diverse career, and I've loved being a gallery owner. It's been a lot of work, but really happy that I was able to retire from corporate and then do the thing that I love so much now.
Very cool. I have found that a lot of people have a really kind of diverse background who own or run galleries or who are in the arts. I kind of feel like maybe we're kind of really adaptive, resourceful people, but that maybe that's just me. But Yu Kai, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background.
Sure. I going along the lines of where everyone else is going. I graduated from Emory University with a degree in piano performance. I am a concert pianist by training, but I was also pre-med, and that naturally brought me to the arts.
Very linear process.
Exactly. I took a lot of art history classes at Emory because it's a liberal arts school, but worked in 2 other galleries in my 20s in Santa Monica and here in Atlanta, and then decided that I wanted to open up a space in 2008, which is 12 years ago now. And so we're a contemporary art gallery located in Atlanta, but we show artists from all over now, mainly the Southeast.
Gotcha. 2008, what a great year to start a new business. Right in the middle of a recession. That's gutsy. I like it. So I guess the first kind of topic, and it's kind of the inevitable question, and we did touch on it, I think, a little bit, but how have you adapted with the new situation that we're kind of living in? How has COVID kind of affected your business, and how have you pivoted or stayed nimble, or what have you done to kind of keep things moving? I guess we don't have to always start in order. Anyone can just chime right in, unless somebody doesn't chime in, and then I'll point to somebody. All right, fine, Anne. Anne, it's
right. Sure. So I guess the biggest difference for me was that quarantine and virus, I spent about once a month I would attend art fairs around the world, and so that having a convention center with hundreds of thousands of people was one of the first things to stop occurring. So the largest pivot was turning everything digital, and I'm sure everyone on this panel can speak to that. But the outreach went very quickly from in-person shaking hands on a fair booth to sending a much higher volume of emails and outreach, and just increased communication over email or phone calls. And in the beginning, it didn't really seem that appropriate. And then it sort of, at least I found in my experience, that by June and July, there were a lot of people who had been in their homes with walls for the past couple months, and they were really excited to change it up. So I saw many more transactions in the summer.
Nice. And summer is, correct me if I'm wrong, not usually like a really busy time, I guess, for art buying, or am I wrong about that? Have you guys,
in my experience, it's slower.
Yeah.
It's
true. Really interesting. Sorry.
Atlanta, we're seasonal with school because we're not, well, I guess we are a vacation town, but most people that live here move, or their children go to camps and they go to their lake homes and vacations, but because of COVID, everyone's staying home. And we actually had a really, really great summer considering what's happening with the world. So I'm grateful for that. Though from our end, we're really by appointment because even though we are in a retail district, once we opened, there were the riots that happened, and that didn't bode well for the people that were coming to shop for art. So we've actually transitioned into every hour on the hour is a new collector or a curator or a consultant that comes in, and that's been great because they're vetted in a way, and they know what they're looking for, and we're just there to act as a conduit for them to pull pieces for their clients or for themselves.
How about you, Teresa? I've noticed, just being local, you guys have always had, I think, a really good social media presence, but I've noticed it really amping up, I think, over the past 6 months or so.
Definitely. We were in the process of going with a platform, an online platform, Art Cloud, and we were preparing for that for the first of the year, and actually finished going with that platform and having it live in February.
Oh, wow.
So we were extremely fortunate to already have that in place. We were online, but we didn't have a platform where every single piece in the gallery was online. So that was just very helpful. And although we were closed, we feel like our online presence grew by a lot, actually. And with some social media advertising and a lot of Zoom calls and FaceTime calls with customers, we've been kind of keeping it going. We feel like many of our artists have actually had some downtime and really put a lot of effort into creating during this time. And so we've gotten a lot of new work in. We've brought in some new artists. So our online presence has definitely grown, and we're thrilled about that and fortunate.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's really good news. Michael?
The biggest unfortunate part was right before we closed, we had opened up 4 new exhibitions that were only open for about 2 weeks. So the first thing that we wanted to focus on were the artists that were being featured in those exhibitions. And so we did a virtual tour with a Matterport camera that a guy came in to shoot the whole gallery. So people could have virtual walkthroughs of the gallery and learn about each piece and things like that. Like Teresa, we had already had a strong virtual online presence. Everything in the gallery is online already, and we have a pretty strong social media presence. But we wanted to kind of amp it up even more, and so we continued to have daily posts, events via Zoom, things like that. Of 7 employees at the gallery, 2 of us were the ones that stayed on. The other ones were furloughed for the time being. And so the 2 of us, we hustled, and we went to clients' homes and saw them at a distance. If they didn't feel like coming to us, we would go to them. But handling all the ins and outs of the gallery was a lot to handle. But we stayed busy even through all of it. And like Kai, we had a really good summer too. People were home and they're looking at their walls, and it's been pretty fortunate. So I feel good about that, all things considered.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of a unifying theme. People are like, it's sort of for the same reason why like Lowe's and Home Depot, any home, updating anything in your house has been kind of through the roof this year. For that same reason, people are kind of wanting to beautify their spaces and feel more comfortable in the space they're in. And art, I think, plays a really huge part of that. I mean, obviously it does. So yeah, how do you find, and this is an interesting one, I think, because you're all from very different places. How does the location of where your gallery is kind of affect the clientele and the artwork that sells, I guess? And I'm sure, like Teresa mentioned, there are just some things that are a hard sell for Greenville. We're a pretty small town. So yeah, how does maybe where you live affect who you sell to and what you sell?
Well, I'll jump in. You may not know, many of you may not know, that we are in a transitional area of West Greenville and very much off the beaten path. We have no sidewalk traffic or anything like that. So we've kind of become a destination. We have seen a lot of growth in the last 5 years as Greenville has grown, but we really have to work hard to host events and to pull our traffic in. And one of the ways that we do that is by being very consistent and trying to, show the work that we believe in and continually promote it. And for 14 years until the virus, we had an opening every Friday, first Friday of the month, for 14 years. And just, I think some of that consistency has been really important. And I think with my marketing background, that was one of the things that I did know coming into it, that we couldn't be hit or miss. If we were going to be in a place where there's no traffic, we had to really, work hard from a marketing standpoint and to get people in.
I think we have a good mix of both of those things, especially what Asheville used to be 20, 30 years ago was not what it is now. And so today, I mean, we're very much a tourist destination, which we're lucky that we have the amount of space we have to allow the diversity of the artists and the works that we have. People are coming from all different places, from New York, from the West Coast. And so they're kind of surprised when they step into Blue Spiral and see that diversity. But we still have quite a bit of more traditional landscape and artists like that. And more crafts. We focus on studio crafts as well. So, and that's because of where we're located in the regions, being in the Southeast.
I mean, I can talk about the New York City neighborhoods. It's generally speaking, back in the day, the galleries moved into warehouses out in West Chelsea. So you hear a lot of galleries in Chelsea just because that's where the space was. Recently, a lot of them have moved to Tribeca just with the ebb and flow of New York City real estate. And then more emerging nascent galleries are in the Lower East Side. So that's, it's almost better for them to gather near each other because then you can hit up a couple in one day, and it's those communities of the galleries themselves are very close, and we'll organize First Friday walks or a late Thursday gallery night, something like that. So it does help that they are all geographically desirable next to each other.
I've never there's never been another profession where people don't expect to, as you grow in your career, make more money, but for some reason artists are kind of expected just to do things kind of at the same. When artists raise their prices, it's like, well, but I got this for this amount of money 2 years ago, so why, so there's a huge disconnect, I think, between most other careers and art as a career, in the sense of that it is actually work and it is worth something, and so that's a good kind of, I think, lesson for art administrators or gallerists, or do you find that you kind of have to, like, part of your job is educating the public a little bit on what
Absolutely.
art, the value of art, the monetary value of art?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely see ourselves as an educational resource for those kinds of incidences, but also just about the art, the artist, the methods, the materials. And we have, when I work with my team on the sales aspect, and do through like sales training, we have kind of our responses to some of these questions, that can quickly validate the price without being pushy or offended. And it's a very much an educational approach.
As a gallerist, do you find you sell work kind of from a more emotional place or perspective, or do you find that people are kind of looking for like a business sort of like an investment? I mean, do you find that most people, even if it is an investment, sort of have to have an emotional relationship, or do some people just sort of purchase art to acquire it as an asset, I guess? What are your experiences with that?
I truly believe at Art and Light that people most of the time have to have some kind of emotional connection. I feel like they like to know about the artist, they like to know who they are, where they live, and we do share a lot of that information about the artist and the process and their backgrounds and their education. And we find that they often say that they'd like to meet them. Please let me know if they're going to be in town. They want to meet them. So I do think it's a huge emotional connection. From time to time, we have people who I think are acquiring things just because they have a space to fill. That's not as often. Most of the time, they really are excited and very emotional about collecting the pieces they buy.
I would agree. It's a generally an emotional connection to, especially with inventory that is priced at a point that is an investment and is in an asset class. Then I mean, you could buy stocks, or you could buy something that really reaches you emotionally and you want to live with. And I think we were talking about it earlier. It's sort of like dating. Like, you get to know this painting and you like this painting, and then you love this painting, and then you want to see more of the painting and more of the artist. And it. So I think it is mostly an emotional purchase.
I agree with Anne, and even if it is for investment purposes, for the most of the time, you know, it's, if you're working with that particular type of artist or that caliber, that's investment related, I feel like most of the time the client's still trying to find an emotional connection with the works that they're acquiring within that realm of that artist. Hopefully, I mean, I would hope that. I mean, we have such great relationships with the artists we work with that we are also very much emotionally attached to the works that they're coming in to the gallery and with the artists we work with. And I mean, I work with about 120 artists at any given time, and if somebody asked me if I liked everything in the gallery, I would tell them no. It would be impossible for me to do that, and I'd be lying if I said yes. Do I like every artist that we work with? Absolutely. And then if they ask me what my favorite pieces or favorite artists are, I'll definitely show them and tell them. But you know, they're in the end of the day, they're making the decision for themselves.
I think you and I have actually talked about this before, that it's very, emotion plays a very big part, I think, in maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, like the way that you sell, and also typically when people are buying, it's very, they have to have that connection to it, for it to really, for someone to really, you know, want to like take it home with them and look at it every day. That's been, I guess, your kind of perspective there?
Yeah, I totally agree. I agree with everyone on the panel that it is an emotional, like, yearning to fill a void, a physical void, either in your office or your home or your wherever. And the gallery acts as a vehicle for commerce to happen, for art to be collected, and that's our role, and our job is to play that role and be that. There's a cute little doggy somewhere.
I know. Where's the dog?
Sorry, y'all. That's fine. Doorbell rang.
Oh, there's one.
Doorbell rang. Said the dog barked.
I can't do Zoom calls at home. It's madness every time. And I mean, somebody can shut a car door like a half a block away, and it's just like, you know, pandemonium. Like it's ridiculous. Thank you all for attending this panel discussion with our lovely gallerists today for Artisphere, presented by TD Bank, the virtual experience. This particular panel discussion is sponsored by Pinnacle Bank, and we're very grateful for their support. Thank you for watching, and please click on all of the other demos and panel discussions and enjoy the weekend.